business coach. I'm
Thanks
so
for having
happy
me.
to see you here today. Sorry.
We have so much fun when we get together. I love it. It's
I'm happy to be here.
absolutely. It's funny because we spend a lot of time in the beginning just kind of talking about what we're going to talk about, and we should have pressed record a long time ago.
I know we've been talking for a long time. We usually come on at noon. So I am Michelle Oliver, and this is the Coaching Collective. What this is about is really upgrading the industry by bringing people like Pete live so that all of you can get to know him and other coaches as well. But it's really about being authentic. And I know that's an overused word right now, but it's opening up really honest conversations about who we are, who you are, what you need, what coaching is all about. Should I, shouldn't I? What is the difference between mentorship, masterminds, coaching, and is it right for you? And we're here to answer questions and support you today.
For sure. What I love about this piece that we get to do each week is that we get to share and kind of pull away the veil of what covers all the secrets of coaching, and we actually dive into the actual meat and potatoes, if you will, of what goes on in business owners' lives and where they get stuck and things like that. And I love that we're able to give and share that in this venue for sure.
Yes. No vegans. No, I'm kidding. It's the meat and potato gang. It's really true. Sorry, that was a terrible joke, but yes, because there's a lot of mystique around it. And honestly, I know we weren't going to talk about this, but I do want to say this, that when it comes to coaching, very often we will reach out to a coach when we're really at our wits' end, unless you're in the habit of, I have a coach for everything, right? Which a lot of people can do that, and a lot of people can't do that. So maybe we wait until the pain is so great, we're not really sure what to do. And then you kind of wonder, well, what is a coach? How do I make a decision about the right coach? And, some people are like, that's a lot of money. Should I really do that? Invest in myself and my business? And often we can do that with the wrong person. And then we don't get results that we want. And then we feel bad, and then we're jaded, and then we never want to do it again. And then we go through a cycle. So a huge part of this idea of the Coaching Collective is to alleviate that pain and just open up these conversations.
Yeah, absolutely. And here's the thing, there's been coaches in my life that there's times when we've had a period of time together, and then you complete that phase or that function, right? I always like to say that most might hire me for 6 months, right? And I always tell them, and I've told you this before, and I always tell them, I said, you're going to hire me for the next 6 months, but if you need me after a year, as often as we meet once a week, I don't know that I did my job. Yeah. So it's one of those things where, this is where I know that in this period of time is where we're going to mean the most to each other. And then, later on, if we check in once a month, every other week, and that type of thing, it makes more sense. Then you're moving on to another phase of your business, but we all still need that accountability piece.
Completely.
And that's where most of us as business owners are left out in the breeze by ourselves. And that's what's so powerful about aligning with the right one, the one that's going to be there for you and walk through fire.
Yes. And, as you were speaking, I was thinking about accountability. It is definitely accountability. And a huge part of that is perspective, because how quickly we lose perspective over the course of a 24-hour period even. So it's just like with your business, really, having kind of systematic way or a framework to hold you, to continue to keep your mind and body and brain and thoughts and everything where they need to be, and then taking the action that are in alignment with that is, the value cannot be articulated.
You
But
know what? I
what
just I just thought of the biggest fear that most might have if they've never experienced a coach. And this has happened to me when I go to my coaching, because I have a coach every week and I have things and objectives and things that I've committed to, right? But you know what happens with Coach Pete sometimes? There's times that life gets in the way and I don't do my homework. And tell me if you haven't experienced this, Michelle, when you showed up to your coaching appointment with your coach and you didn't do what you promised, has that session been the most powerful that you've ever experienced when you feel that you've let them down?
Totally. Because that's actually why you're there.
That's why you're there.
It's the core reason is to uncover what's keeping you from accomplishing what you want. That's where all the power is. And when you you come up against that, so that's not where you run away. That's where you show up and you're like, wait a second, I had every intention of doing this. What prevented me?
Yeah.
That's the opportunity for growth, right? And
100%. I'll get the text. I'm like, oh, Coach Pete, I didn't do what I was supposed to do. Let's postpone the next week. I'm like, no, we're going to spend time together, and that's exactly what we're going to talk about. So show up, and I won't, and I'll take the pressure off as soon as you show up to the meeting. And it's like the most powerful time, because who gets to sit and actually not dissect, but just kind of think through, okay, what got in my way this week? What really happened? What was it a time thing? Was it my employees? Was it, financially, I'm beating myself up because all the receivables that are going on right now, I just put me in a funk, and the funk got in the way of me taking action and spending this extra hour. You know what I'm talking about. And then now it's like, oh, okay. So when that happens, here's how what I can do to make an adjustment so that I don't feel so bad and I can get at least most of it done next time.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, like, it's not really, regardless of what you think, business owner, it's not really about, I don't know if I can even say this out loud on camera, but it's not necessarily all about the end result. Let me put it that way. It's not necessarily all about, the revenue or the end, accomplishing the end goal. It really, I know it sounds corny, but it really is about who you're becoming on the way there, and what you're building, and, what you overcome within yourself to accomplish that goal. It's really true. And that's actually why it's like business is just another framework for becoming everything you can be to serve.
Yep.
That's all it is. So perspective around that is really necessary, and we get lost. This is what we were going to talk about, actually. So we were going to talk about culture. Yep. So let's say building a tremendous, supportive, a culture based on your values and vision is important to you. Let's say that's the end goal. And then what's standing between you and that is a litany of stuff, like the systems. Oh my gosh, all the stuff where you get caught up in the weeds.
That's right.
That's what we were going to talk about. So it's no different than any other goal, really.
No. And you know what? And the goal, the goal really is to make progress and be a little bit further than I was yesterday. Right. And when we get caught up in the weeds, like you're talking about, I think that we then become distracted. Like I was using the excuse, accounts receivable was so high this week, and no check showed up for whatever reason. I had so much on the street, no check showed up. I couldn't pay my bills. So that slowed my momentum down. So now what's in the way? How am I showing up for my team right now? Because I just let that take my joy. And now I might be showing up to my team and with like less energy and just kind of slumped over. Hey guys, how you doing? how's your week, instead of being the leader that we need to be around our team. And we let that take control.
That is a very real thing. That's a huge point. I mean, and that too is why, so it could be culture, it could be anything, right?
Could be.
Like you're saying, but we have to be so connected to why we're doing something that it really is something that, I mean, I believe in this with all my heart and mind and soul, that because look, you've got it in some area of your life, and oftentimes it's with your kids or your family. If you are so connected to what's really, really important to you, that stuff, you're going to breeze by it and figure it out and show up with the right energy. Like, you just don't let it be a block.
Give an example, Michelle. Tell us what you're talking about there.
I mean,
like your vision, like you have a vision for your company. You get into business, you want to change the lives of people in this regard. What's next?
I mean, I don't know. I kind of feel like this is just something inside of me that I honestly think was a liability. Like, people would tell me it's a liability, but really it's like, you see the vision. Okay. So I've seen this with every business I've had. The one we were talking about earlier, I knew the impact that my creating this business was going to have on people, because I knew the power of what I was doing, and that it was really intimately connected with their joy. And that's what was in my mind all the time. And it would, when you're, everything I say, I feel like sounds so corny, but when you're really connected with the impact you're having on someone else, you said this earlier, service to others. Okay. That's one of my top 3 core values. And it really is, because I know that when I'm there, I have a lot of energy. When I'm not connected to that, I go in a really fast downward spiral to, oh my gosh, despair. Like, what am I doing? Confusion.
That's exactly the difference. And that's what takes our joy. And when we remind ourselves, oh, why am I really doing this? Well, I'm affecting the lives of these people that can't do for themselves in reality. Right. And that gives us back that life again, and that energy, because no matter how many times you hit me with a 2x4, I'm still coming back. I'm still going to stand up, because I have a purpose and a mission and a vision for my company.
Right. And you're going to be pulled by that.
Yes.
And it becomes, I don't want to say an obsession, but it's like, it's done already. Like, there's a part of me that it was like, this is something that exists, like in my awareness, and it's my responsibility to serve these people. And when you're in that kind of space, that kind of energy, that kind of clarity, you don't notice when people say things like, oh, quit being so Pollyanna-ish. Or I literally have had people, like in this other business, say, what you're wanting to do is not possible here. Like, there's so much opposition, and there are no resources regarding this project. You're going to have to figure that if you really want it. Like, why would you want to do something like that anyway? And against all odds, it really wasn't a problem. I never perceived a problem. I perceived a puzzle.
There you go. And speaking of what we were talking about before we jumped on here as well, is it's causing natural deselection, because that person that's taking away from you, or giving that negativity towards what you're doing, they're naturally deselecting themselves from the team that's going to actually help you do it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Deselecting themselves. I love that.
Deselecting. And at that point, you're leaving room in your life to attract who's coming in, because the how is what gets in our brain. And it's like, oh my God, how am I going to collect all this? How am I going to fix this problem? How am I going to have a POS system in my business to track inventory, right? When it's a matter of, okay, who is it that I need to attract with my vision?
And if you're really clear about your values, I guarantee you, you open a business, you're going to get a million calls about POS systems.
Oh yeah.
So if you're really tied into your values and you trust yourself, you're going to know the right people. You're just going to feel it, and you're going to know who to work with and who not to work with. And if the biggest lesson I think that I ever learned was really that, like, trust yourself, trust other people, but trust your gut feeling about them.
Yeah. And it's funny because we all have baggage that we might carry from previous experiences, that we might have gotten burned, or a deal went bad, or a partnership. I don't know if you've been through partnerships or not, but
yep.
I believe right now, I certainly understand and have created much better partnerships later in life than I did early in life, right? And it's because the anticipation piece, and we learn from those mistakes and hurdles, and we try to unpack what the gifts are in those mistakes. And when that roadblock shows up, or that problem shows up, okay, and we can say, especially to our coach, because here's where
interesting. Yeah.
Here's where I think I give permission for somebody to actually explore what's going on and find out, okay, why did you get hit in the head with that 2x4? What do you think what's really happening here when that deal didn't go through, or that big sale that you were counting on didn't come through? What's really happening here? And it happened the other day. Client that I have had this resource that she funnels all of the, we'll call it the busy work, all the processing work, once she closes a client. And it's a firm that has been really great with her for so long, and something changed internally in their business. And because she only had one resource, it closed all of the accounts, and she had no resource at that time. And it sat her back in the chair going, oh my God, I'm theoretically out of business right now because this one business had everything there, right? But now fast forward 2 days, the relationship that she had already been starting was another firm that had twice the capacity, more resources, created a better financial situation for her, and gave a backup plan just in case something happened within it as well. So the gift was, had this not happened, this relationship would have never opened up. And we don't see it a lot of times. We don't see it when it's going on.
Yeah, exactly. And there really is something called an abundance mindset. It's not just words. Like it is the ability, I believe, to if you can't recognize the advantage in a dark situation, you can at least scan the horizon for potential. So it's like, it's literally a habit you can train in yourself to just shift to, okay, what's the advantage here? Or where is the opportunity, or whatever word resonates with you. But you don't take obstacles, that information that comes into your awareness, you don't take that information as some people are going to react to this, I know, but as a stop sign. You take it as, okay, well, where's the other door? If I am so certain I'm going here, I'm not so smart as to know the best way to get there, but I resonate completely with the fact I'm going. So therefore, I'm going to be open to different opportunities. Sometimes the person that you never even noticed has everything for the next step.
Hmm.
And so I think it's just a way of always acknowledging, if it's really meant to be, then there is provision here. What
Right.
is that? Where is it? I wonder where it is. And just get curious about it instead of letting your energy go down to, holy crap, what did I just do?
Yep. Absolutely.
And it's just a mental game.
It's the power of having somebody on your team that you can throw this and bounce back and forth and kind of volley the ball and say, hey, this is really what's going on right now. Let's find the good in it and let's bring you back to center and keep our eye on the real mission and keep everybody focused, and let's instill this company culture that's ultimately why everybody comes to work every day.
Exactly.
It's not about the money all the time, and that's where a lot of what's going on in these companies right now. I mean, you're seeing you're seeing the layoffs and the people that are resigning, the values are changing, and wanting to do their own thing. I mean, I don't even know what the stats are right now, people that are opening up their own business and the gig economy and all that. They don't know what's ahead. They just know that there's a better answer out there. There's a better, future ahead for them in some way. And I think right now, when feelings and emotions are at an all-time high right now. Would you agree?
I guess so. I've always had a lot of feelings and emotions, but yeah, no, I totally, everyone's triggered. I guess, yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on. Absolutely. Yes.
Now compound it with the holidays and all the family dynamic, what's going on. So it's just kind of gurgling right now, going, oh, right. You just know it, right? So seeing it for what it is and actually saying, hey, let's take a step back and pull ourselves out of the situation. That's the value. That's what I use my coach for.
Perspective again. Yeah. And isn't it a miracle?
It is.
It just takes another human being.
That's all it is. That's all it is. And especially when you're feeling, being a business owner, we feel alone. We feel that there's, we're out there dealing with all this piles of stuff and there's no, we're just crawling for any type of relief, right? And when we can take and celebrate what we've really done and what we really have accomplished, who else would do that with you and be genuinely happy for your success without envy, jealousy, any of those bad things, connotation. I want them to do $4 million a year, even if I've done one. That's fantastic. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's so great to be a part of, right?
Yeah, you literally become a vehicle for their growth or kind of like a conduit for their growth, really. And it's really very, very powerful to have that experience of being able to move from, I hear what you say when you're like crawling for relief. And I think it's really easy to fall into that. That's what we had started this conversation offline about, really, is how often a business owner, like these people you're talking about going out on their own with their gig or whatever.
Yep.
It comes from that thing inside of you that is saying, I have a dream, right? Like I want to do this. There's a vision that is percolating, or maybe it's been driving you for decades and you just haven't been able to materialize it. So you step out in this faith and energy and optimism. And then it's really easy to lose sight of that vision, of why you're doing it, because the first thing that comes up is all the stuff that you have, you're not going to see it as an opportunity to grow and be bigger and better and more skilled and all that. You're going to see it as a sign from the universe that you made a crazy bad mistake.
Yep.
And that's where a coach comes in, because we know we've done that multiple times and we know you're not crazy, but we also know how to move more quickly. So yeah, go ahead.
Well, to your point as well, and attracting who in our life that actually sees the vision with you and has the similar values, and parking all the naysayers and the negative, energy people that take it away, right? We need more people in our life like you who build me up in what I'm doing, and more validation that what we're doing is, I mean, we all need to hear that. I don't care how good of a coach or person or business person you need. I want to know from my peers that what I'm doing is in the right direction, and please tell me, and I can certainly course correct super fast. If it's not, if I waver or get off track for whatever reason. Those are who I respect more so than the energy suckers, we'll call them.
Yeah. I mean, we've just been conditioned we're just conditioned to live out of that fight or flight place, and always scanning the horizon for what's wrong and why we were bad and why we made a mistake and why it's not going to work and all that crap. And truly having a vision it's the ability to see what other people can't see.
Right.
And so if you're willing to adopt that definition, then you have to also be willing to realize that most people aren't going to see it.
You know what? It's just similar to what we all went through last week, sitting at Thanksgiving at the dinner table with our family. And there's certain things that we're not going to talk about with certain members of our family, right? And then there's certain things that we will, right?
Yeah.
And it's how we still love our family, but we just don't want to open up those conversations because we know where it's going to go. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing with our business circle as well. We have to create that inner sanctum of people that are mentors, people that have done, much more than we have, and the circle of, the 5 people that we spend the most time with, we're now the average of, right?
Yeah.
It all just makes sense, and then we become the magnet, and all those people that come in, like the people that have just come into your life, mm-hmm. and the ability to be real with them and say, hey, I've had this happen, and this happened. We're not going there, right? And be good with those conversations.
Yeah. I think a lot of people, when they first go into business, part of it is like, you just have to go through stuff.
Yep.
There's some things that, and some types of people, like I've come into organizations as a culture, enhancer, or whatever you want to call it. Like, there are different titles for that, where, there are really, really, really resistant people to that. They just can't go there. And some of those people, you have to, I guess it's all just life, but you have to get to a point where you really are willing to be a coach for yourself. You have to be willing, and that's why it makes sense to invest in the right coach, truly, because what you're saying is, I believe in me. I'm willing to invest in me. I'm willing to take this risk, and I'm going to step forward into this and offer this. And then everyone who isn't resonating, or who has a lot of resistance around it, I don't need that confirmation. You can really, but you have to go through that to get to that place of confidence. I don't know that there's any way around it. Sometimes we just go through the painful realization that we are blaming other people rather than taking the agency that truly is already ours.
Yeah, that's true. And you know, the also the power of having a coach or a consultant on your team as well is that for them, their role is obviously to coach and mentor and guide you. But at the same time, everything that, for example, that the path that I take my clients through, I want them to instill the same process and be the leader in their organization and do the same for their staff, because
Exactly.
where's the leadership in their life right now? You're
Right.
it. You might be, as the business owner, the most influential person in your staff's life.
Very likely you are, and you don't even know it.
Don't even know it. And
Yeah.
and how you affect families or their family tree. I mean, I want my staff, you know, I want to change their family tree with the opportunity that I give them in my business. I want to change their family tree. I want to give them an opportunity that they would never have anywhere else working for a small business.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Especially now when a lot of people want to take that leap, and then maybe it turns out to be too much. So that is where collaboration and alignment and putting yourself out there and asking questions and doing, I remember many, many years ago, like really when I was really young, it was the big thing then was like, go do an informational interview. Well, that process is fabulous because you will meet amazing people and you'll have opportunities. Maybe you don't, like what, as your business is growing and you're kind of attracting or seeking the right people, they're just different ways to align with the right people to be creative and happy. Like it doesn't have to look a certain way.
No.
You just have to know like what you want to feel. What's important to you. Again, just like values. It's so simple, really.
It is.
It gets complex somehow, but
we make it too complex.
we do.
Yeah. I mean, and we sometimes can take ourselves way too seriously. I mean, I for one, I want to enjoy and be, I want to joke around and make light of things and, make somebody laugh at an unexpected moment, to light them up. And, as a leader, we get to do that, or in any organization, right? Because it changes everybody's state. It's kind of contagious when we get to do that and affect somebody. Right. So if a client comes into a coaching session just beating themselves up and I'm like, hey man, let's beat you up more. Come on, let's get in, you know what I mean? And just make fun of ourselves for a moment and look at how crazy it really is what's going on in our mind right now.
Yeah.
And it's immediate. It's an immediate change in the whole thing because we've just broken that pattern, right?
Exactly.
I love it.
That's what it's all about. Pete, you're so great. So how would you like to wrap this up for people? Like that was pretty good right there, but
there was a lot. Yeah, no doubt. I think, my takeaways from today are more around the quality of having that vision and using the vision to attract the people in our life to make it happen.
See, I knew I'd hear this from the world coming back. I mean, I'm laughing, making a big deal out of this because I was telling Pete off camera, like, all I wanted was to be around people that understood that you could build strictly from a vision and everything else would come. And so I'm being silly here, but yeah, yay.
So awesome. Well, it's been a pleasure this week. I look forward to next.
Yeah.
Stay tuned. There's big things to come.
I know. I'm not sure where I'm going to be next week, so it might be interesting.
No worries. We look forward to it.
Okay. Well, thank you so very much. Have a beautiful day, and I'll see you next week. Bye.